youngest son graduated from high school 2 years ago, so that tells you how long I've been carrying around his box of Lincoln Logs. I took these out of his toy box when he was probably 5 years old, and I took them to a seminar, and they've been kind of around the world with me. So I need a volunteer. Come with you, Natalie. Would you mind? So come on up, Natalie. Hi.
Hi.
Good boy. You have a great grip.
Oh.
So, Natalie, you all don't know this about Natalie, and Natalie doesn't know this about herself, but she actually is a world champion Lincoln log. So you've come to this workshop to actually demonstrate your prowess in Lincoln log building. And then we're going to do a little story. So, what's the first thing we're going to do? Yeah. I mean, I was working in the business. There are probably only a couple people in the room who can remember the age before the wireless microphone. Anybody else remember when maybe the station had one? That was the first place I worked. We had one, and it usually went to court. It was reserved for court. To me, the single biggest technological invention that has aided storytelling wasn't the computer or the cell phone. It's the wireless microphone, because you can put it on, and you can step back. So I think you're going to do your work up here. You usually prefer to sit, don't you? Okay. Do you see these headsets? Yeah, huge. Those are some of the biggest headsets I've ever had. Always use those?
Oh yeah, every day.
Yeah. Y'all do that? Monitor your audio while you're shooting? Why do you do that?
Well, that way you can hear your NAS sound, your shotgun mic. I don't know how many of you guys have this, but this was when I worked at CARE. You had to have this. All of us have these at King. This removable shotgun. So you'll see later why, but you can move it around, get sound where you otherwise may not be able to with the camera. And I'm always listening to channel 1 or channel 2. A lot of times both. So, yeah.
So Jeff's going to do a mic check here. You might want to listen for that.
Natalie? I'm just going to come over here.
Okay.
Your name's Natalie?
Natalie, that's it.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
And what's he not doing?
Count to 10 for me.
Yeah. Can you count to 10? Can you give me a mic check? Why didn't he do that? How many of you have ever been interviewed? Had the camera turned around where you've been interviewed? How was that? It's awful. I mean, it's the most god-awful thing. And we do it every day, and we don't even think about what we're doing to people. But it is horrible. I was interviewed. CBS did a piece a few years ago when I was in Milwaukee. Did some big abortion protests, and they wanted to interview a couple of reporters who covered the abortion protests, and I was one of them. I swear to God, it was the most nerve-wracking thing that I ever did. I do 1,000 live shots before I submit myself to that again. It's terrible. So what Jeff just did was, I think, two little things. One, he was saying, hey, this is going to be okay. This is going to be fun. We're going to just have a conversation. He's making a connection with her. Got his audio levels. He's got that taken care of. And he didn't remind Natalie that she's going to do a TV interview. Which you're not, right? We're just going to have a conversation. All right, so I'll let you get started. I think that might be an opening shot. We're going to have some pretty nice sound. Just got that microphone out nice and close.
That's a lot of Lincoln Logs.
That's what it takes, you know.
Now, Jeff just did something that I really appreciate. He's a photographer, and he asked a question. Did you hear that? And Natalie had a really nice, very natural response. I find that photographers often get the best sound When they're talking to me, they're worried they might say the wrong thing. But he can go up and talk to them, and I think there's just a different relationship. She doesn't expect that's going to be on TV, that little thing that she just said, and I'm thinking he just got a little gold nugget that we're going to use in the story. So, Natalie, how long have you been doing this, and how'd you get started?
For about 10 years. Got started and it was kind of random. Just ran into these Lincoln Logs and loved them.
Isn't that a great sound? But we're going to say it's a great, no, that was a great sound. And I did what Scott was talking about this morning, the two-part question. And if you ask somebody, Scott said it this morning, if you ask somebody a question in two parts, it forces them to answer in a sentence. If I say, how long have you been doing this? You can say 10 years. If I say, how long have you been doing this? How'd you get started? I've been doing this for 10 years, and my dad got me going on it, or whatever. Forces her to answer in a complete sentence. And the other thing that just happened there, because that was a good soundbite, what did I do? I didn't ask another question from right there.
He moved immediately when you recognized he had a bite.
Right, he had a bite. He may look at me, he may see that I've just stood up. I don't want, the goal here when we're done, if we have 8 sound bites from Natalie, they're all going to look different. In the same way that Scott moved the camera around the room, and we did that story on the guy in New
So as soon
Orleans.
as he got a bite, we said, oh, that's a bite. He moved the camera.
Right, and I don't want to see that shot again, if I can help it, in my story. We've had that once. We all know the rule from college journalism class. If you took the same shot of a building and used that shot twice in the story, somebody would flag you on it. And I won't say that I never use the same interview framing, because sometimes there's a good bite, and you will, but I'd rather not. I'd like to move around so that every shot looks different, because it's more interesting that way. So what I'll do is I'll let Jeff shoot a little bit, and I just kind of keep an eye on him, and I know he's going to give me a nod when we're in a spot where maybe I could ask another question. So, why are you so interested in this? I mean, you could be doing a lot of different things with your time, and why do you choose this as your hobby?
I like to create things, and I don't know, it's relaxing. Puts me at ease.
Okay. Well, why am I down here?
So she doesn't look up?
Yeah, because look what happens. So if I'm up here, and I'll make eye contact with you again, you see where her eyes are going? So what I always try to do is I always look where the lens is. And if the lens is there, then my eyes, isn't that nicer? You can see Natalie looking basically where your eye, if my eye's here, that's where the viewer's eye is going to be too. So I always try to be in roughly the same spot. That's really nice. You're doing a great job. I can see why you're a world champion.
Yeah.
What about, why am I on this side of the camera? Can you stay there just a second?
Yep.
Why am I on this side of the camera as opposed to over here?
Her body's already.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm over here, she's looking away from that thing that she's working on. So as a reporter, I always want to put myself in the position that lets the interview subject look over the action as opposed to away from the action. And it doesn't matter what that person is doing. If she's a farmer and she's milking a cow, I want to be on the, I grew up on a dairy farm, so I like that analogy, but I want to be on this side of the cow, so she's looking over the cow. Whatever it is, but I'm always trying to be mindful of that. And good photographers will grab me by the back of the shirt and pull me and put me in the right place sometimes too, which is appreciated. It's really looking good.
So what are you building here?
This is a house, and it is kind of ranch style. That's kind of my specialty. It's my specialty. It's the ranch style. Yeah.
And you all saw what just happened there, right? So you all know that the greatest trick anyone ever taught me was to have bad hearing. Yeah. She had said that's my specialty, but Jeff had already moved. So if I ask Natalie, could you say that again? That doesn't work, right? She'll stop and think, what? But if I just didn't hear it, I'm sorry. I think she said exactly the same way. I mean, often they'll say even better because I have to say it for emphasis because I just don't hear well. That has saved me so many times. And I can't, to me, I cannot blame the photographer if he misses a shot. That's on me. I have to be situationally aware to know where he is. If Natalie says something now, and obviously Jeff's not ready, I have to get that again for him. Because I want him to shoot like this. I want him to move around. I always laugh. There was a reporter in Milwaukee who would scream while she was logging tape in one of the bays. Just scream at her photographers for missing shots. It's like, oh, yeah, it's not fair. They can't stay locked down in the same shot the whole time. There's she screamed for missing lights. Oh, I like that shot. And it really helps to travel with a monitor like this. Yeah. You always put the screen. You know, when I was a kid, they were wood, real natural materials, kind of the same still.
Yeah, that's just wood logs. Nothing's changed.
All right. Well, that seems like more of a hotel complex you're working in there.
Big ranch.
Big ranch. Okay. Questions on any of this? Doing this already?
Did you get the sound bites you needed?
Oh, yeah, I think we're golden. Yeah, definitely.
What happens when you're having a hard time getting your subject to open up and relax? I mean, you seem like obviously super easy guy to talk to, but you know, where you just feel like kind of pulling for something and it's just not happening. How do you?
Don't give up. I think that's the main thing. I think sometimes you really have to work at it. And I think people give up too soon. So this interview's gone on for 5 minutes. We're not getting what we need. I think you just take a break and you try again. And, you know, or I'll leave. I'll go back. I'll go to the car. We've done that before, where we're just not getting the person to get out of this mode where they are doing a television interview. So I've done this with Jonathan several times where I'll go, hey, I'm going to go out and get a couple of batteries for you, and then you just stay out there for 10 minutes, and then he'll work on it. And sometimes that's what it takes, just to have me leave the room. Those of you here who do MMJ, use the same techniques? Yeah? Yeah. My goal would be that we can get done, and every interview shot is different. And they're all good shots. Jeff, anything else you want to add?
So Boyd, one question, and you
Yeah.
move, one question, one answer, and you move.
Yeah.
You move on.
Yeah, and I just try to get out of the way then. I let him work.
I mean, you'll hear it. You hear it. So that's it. You know, 'cause you can hear. For me, I see the edits. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people. Like JR would always say, like, you know, you shoot sort of so that you can see the edits sort of when you're shooting, when you're sequencing, you're thinking, well, this would be a nice wide, tight to see, just sort of thinking about it.
I plan out my interview too. So at the beginning of this shoot, I'm going to be asking Natalie questions about how you got started. But the profound questions about the meaning of the Lincoln Log experience, I'll probably save those for near the end of the interview when it's almost completed, because you could see where you could paint yourself into a corner continuity-wise if you didn't do that. I think we're good. Natalie, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
How does your reporter-photographer relationship change in a spot news situation as far as the stands?
You know, this is practice for the spot news situation. I think we have all the time in the world, but we're still going to do it the same way. You know, if we're in a spot news situation and we're interviewing a woman who just came out of a house, I don't want to see that shot, the same shot on 3 different sound bites either. We're still going to do the same thing. I guarantee if I'm working with Jeff on that, he'll hear a good sound bite here, and then he'll back off and get a wide shot of her, standing in the night in her pajamas or whatever it is, and that'll be a nice shot too. Down on the sidewalk looking up at her. It's just the way that you kind of train yourselves to dance together.
We've, from last night to today, we did a lot of reporter-photographer all-star teams. When you're working with a photographer or a photographer who's working with possibly a rookie reporter, how do you create this dance? What do you say to a photographer that may not be as trained as Jeff and vice versa?
To me, the most powerful words in the English language are, could you help me with something? Because I think even photographers who are not motivated, aren't the most talented photographers, are decent people at heart. And if somebody approaches them, could you be any less threatening than, could you help me with something? And I use that all the time with photographers and when I ask them to do something outside of their comfort zone, like this, I'll just say, could you help me with something? I'm probably going to use 3 or 4 sound bites from this story you're going to be editing from this person. Could you help me make them all look different? So when I think I hear a good sound bite, I'll just give you a nod and just go somewhere else in the room. And I'll help you get there. I'll just ask them a yes, what you said. Superfluous question. And I'll help you get to where you need to be. And, the great thing is that once you have that conversation, they just know that's the way you like to work. And I think the other thing that can be really helpful when you're trying to get somebody to dance with you is to build in, I'm not above building in some reinforcement from outside the dance. So go to the news director and say, well, Jim really did some cool things in this story that's going to air tonight at 5 o'clock that he's never done before. Could you give him an attaboy afterwards? That kind of thing. And once we do it once, we really don't ever have to have that conversation again. Because could we do that thing again that we did last time? So that's the way I work.
How much do you coach your subject matter? Let's say she's the best Lincoln log builder in the world and she can build it in 30 seconds. And you want to get a whole sequence out of that. Do you say, for editing purposes, natural information, for editing purposes, we need more cuts. Can you do that again? Can you do that?
Oh, if she could do this in 30 seconds, that's part of the story, that she could do it in 30 seconds. But yeah, I would say, wow, that was awesome. Could I see that again? Yeah, I would do that. I wouldn't do it if she were she was building this and it was for the White House and she was only going to make one version of it. I wouldn't do it then. But if she's demonstrating it to us, absolutely, I would ask her to do it again.
And with the setup, so you're setting up the interview, are you saying, I understand you're the Lincoln Log champ, why don't you get your stuff out, we'd love to see you go through it, or do you just hope that happens?
If we're coming there to do a story on her just winning the Lincoln Log Championship, yeah, I don't think I'm not misleading anyone if we go there and it's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning and she wasn't going to be building this Lincoln Log thing. I don't think I'm misleading anyone by saying, could we see you build one of these things? Now, if I said, oh, you don't have any Lincoln Logs, could you make one out of Tinker Toys? Maybe that's a bad analogy. Natalie, thank you very much.
Answer to how you create the dance, only from the photogs.
Yeah, from Jeff. Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
How do you create that dance, you as a photog, when like sometimes you may have somebody who comes from a print background that doesn't think visually?
Well, the nice thing with Boyd, and Joe and a lot of the folks that we have here is that they all get it. So right away, I know exactly what he's going for. I know what Joe's going for, Chris Daniels, and the rest of them. But I think having the conversation in the car, that's something that MPPA and Norman talk about a lot. It's like having the conversation. If you can watch a story and tell that you're watching John Larson and Mark Morash, they're on the same page. From the beginning to the end. And as you watch that, wow, they know each other, And I think it's just building that trust with each other, and having that sort of kind of commitment to each other. That okay, I can look at Boyd, and he knows he's got what he needs, and I got what I need.
And the great thing, I would think, Michelle, you could say yes or no to this, but when you're working by yourself, you know the sound bite. You don't have to make eye contact with your partner. You just start talking yourself, right?
The thing is a one-man band. I think somebody asked this question, but I didn't really think of it until you were back there getting that shot. It's a little bit harder. I would have to go set that shot up, talk to him,
Right.
kind of waste time setting that shot up, and then go over there and ask the question and hope
Yeah, but
But I do that.
it's still worth, the reward is great enough that it's still worth the effort to do that. So this obviously was a very visual scenario that we created here just for this workshop. But what we find is that these exist in every story. And then I'm amazed nobody's raised their hand because it's rare that I do one of these workshops that somebody doesn't say, oh yeah, that was about Lincoln Logs, but I covered the city council, and how am I ever going to do an active interview like this for the city council? And I say they're everywhere. They exist in every office. So, you want to grab your camera real quick? So let's say we're sent here to this, visually boring workshop to do a story, right? There's the light. Is the light okay right here? What's your first name? Steve. Hi, Steve. Boyd. Hey, we're just doing a story in the workshop that you're attending here. So, do you mind? Could I ask you just a couple of questions? Oh, thanks. Hey, you've been taking a lot of notes.
There's a lot going on. Now, look, I have to take a lot of notes. I think I've got about 4, 5, 6 pages. And I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna type those up. I really am.
Serious?
I just don't take notes. I take notes so I can read them later.
Well, what have you been writing about? What did you write about there?
This must be your page. I said, always build to reveal, or surprise. It's the why question. Answer it. Could be several whys. Dance with the interview subjects. There we are.
Where did you write
in
that?
natural settings.
Where did you write that?
Yeah, right here. I said, dance with the interview subjects in natural settings. Keep them in the moment. It's a conversation. A wireless mic put on, and then step back.
Yeah, all right, now big picture.
Yeah.
Why don't we care about this? I mean, why is this sort of thing even important? Why does it matter? I mean, I'm talking real big picture here.
I think that, this is, for me, this old dog can learn new tricks. And I recognize that I need I got an invitation, it was there, they said, why don't you come? I thought, I can take advantage of that and really make it work. For me, because I'm just starting a new sort of endeavor, although I have some background, but it's a new kind of a thing, and I thought I could learn something.
Does it matter to viewers?
Well, if you can improve yourself, and I'm a little more pragmatic, perhaps it could matter to the boss. And I always like to put I like to put really good stuff out there and try to improve and say, not only to myself, and to the boss and to the viewers, and this rocks. To me, this is how you learn to rock better. No, you're not big. No, you gotta give me some more, give me some money. No.
All right, so what did we just gather there? We had what? We got in that sound break of the page turning. You notice how Jeff got the mic down, got them out of the. We have a little sound introduce you. We have what do we have talking about? Writing, yes, something specific that you learned. We had a cut shot of that. I think Jeff had a shot of his finger going across the thing that he was talking about. So rather than your interview just popping up with a font underneath it in this story, I can actually introduce you. I know enough about you to really introduce you and let people know you before I bring up that fabulous soundbite that you had. Right? So you see how this can work? So to me, almost every interview can be an active interview. If you just approach it that way and say, okay, how are we going to make this active? Doing a story, I did a story about a year ago with some new census numbers. Rochester, Minnesota is the fastest growing city in Minnesota. And Jonathan, who I was with that day, said, let's mic him up, the guy we were talking, the city planner. And we're talking to the city planner for the city of Rochester. And Jonathan said, put the mic on when he comes out to the lobby to meet us. Okay. Great, put the mic on in the lobby. And Jonathan followed him down the hall. And on the way, I said, "Is there any maps or anything?" We're trying to do something active with him. So he turned into the office. It looked like the guy from Jack Daniel's Distillery. That's what the office looks like. He's like, oh, there must be a map in here somewhere. Meantime, Jonathan is shooting him, digging around. All right, now tell me that's not something that we can use to talk about how busy the planning department is in the city of Rochester because of the rapid population growth. They don't even have time to organize their office anymore. So that's how we got in, that got us into the story. So all of a sudden that boring story about population growth, or to use John's word earlier, that report that we were going to do is now a story about how busy they are that they don't have time to clean their office anymore. And we do go off in another direction, and we talk about the Mayo Clinic and all the hiring that they've done, which is the reason Rochester's population is growing. But at the end of the story, we come back to that guy in the office again, still straightening up, right? Now they're in the closing line was something about in the population game, Rochester one city that's cleaning up or something like that. Hope it wasn't that bad. Anyway. You can see what this can do to you when you start thinking like this.
Just a comment. I love how you said big picture here, and then you said in the grand scheme of things, and you kept on talking, and you waited.
Because I was.
So you were all set up on the side.
Yeah, and that's part of the dance too, right? I could tell Jeff was trying to get on the tripod, which I want. I want that steady shot. So it's incumbent on me then to stall so he gets on the tripod. So I've always got one eye on him. And that big picture now, that was for Steve, but that was also for Jeff, because that told Jeff, okay, now I need that interview shot that we're going to be using. Right? Any other questions?
So when you said, like, you can almost, like, do every interview, like, active, like you were doing it like this. But when you actually, like, sit down and just do an interview?
Yeah, honestly, usually it's a combination of both in a lot of stories. Some stories I don't want the action to ever stop, but there are some stories where you want people to get a little more reflective. And as we go here, I'll show some examples of that, where it's a mix of active interviews, and then I'm not opposed to sometimes setting up lights and making something really pretty too. But I think you can do both. It just depends on the situation. But I think too often we get, I look at a lot of work, and there are a lot of times where I go, man, this piece just needs some life. It needs something real. It needs something in the moment. And this is one way to do that, where you can create something that's in the moment.
Boyd always says, whenever we would go somewhere, he says, well, what are you doing right now? Or what were you doing before we got here? This is a great thing, because then it's just not someone sitting in the living room. It's like, stagnant. It's just active.
We've all unfortunately done stories on troops who've been killed in Iraq or Afghanistan, or anything like that where there's been a death, and so we do those stories. And what's the one thing we always ask for? Pictures. Okay. So why can't we look through the photos with the person? Why do we take the photos and line them up on the couch, and then take a picture of the photo, or borrow it and take it back to the station and scan it? The best photographers will follow the person to the closet to get the box being pulled out. And then we can do an active interview as the mom's going through the pictures. And I always tell the photographers, I'll help you. Stay on her face. When I ask her about their favorite family vacation, resist the temptation to shoot the photo while she's talking about the vacation. Because I want to see her face. And I'll help you after. I'll help you get the picture. With what we just did with Steve here. I'll get you back down there on the picture again. Where was that again? That picture from the beach. Where was that again? I'll get her to turn the page back so you can get the cut shot. But the magic is in her face, is in the mom's face. It's not on the photo.
I just have one technical question on headphones. You talk about being natural, two-man crews versus one-man bands. Do you recommend the big earmuff headphones? I mean, I feel like that distances me from the interview subject. I just want.
When I came to King, this is what was on top of the camera.
Okay.
I left it. I think I've broken. I've gone in like 2 years. I've gone through probably 10 pairs of headphones, and for some reason these just stayed.
How many of you work a night shift? Yeah, me too. Jeff, you do, right?
Yep.
So this time of year, biggest obstacle we deal with is what? Yeah, it's like Minnesota, about 4:45, it's dark in December. So we start work at 2, usually get out on the street by about 3, and you have an hour's worth of daylight, and then it gets dark, and you see a lot of this on television. Can we make it dark? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, just kind of prop that up there. We need a sheriff. You want to be the sheriff, Felix? All right. So let's.
New sheriff in town.
Yeah. All right. So you're the. You seen this look before? It's great, isn't it? Working in the coal mine. I mean, you've all seen this, right? All right. So Felix is the sheriff. A small plane has crashed in a cornfield, and we're here to. What happened? You know?
We don't know any details at this moment, but we have. As we know things more.
Okay. So, was anybody hurt? Any fatalities?
At this time, well, we cannot reveal. At this moment, and unfortunately, that's all I could share with you.
Okay. Which one do you guys like better?
That
This, or then we got this coal mine thing going? All right, and let me ask you, Felix, and say it so everybody can hear it. Which one is more comfortable for you?
That one.
All right. Did you hear that, everybody? This or this? All right. So of all the things that you can learn at this workshop, this is the easiest one that'll do the most good. Figure out a way to get that light off the top of your cameras, photographers and reporters. Make them do it. Use a reporter and use your reporter. And I've had people say, well, if you're holding the light, you won't be. It's going to be hard for them to look at you. But it's just the opposite, isn't it? This is a lot more painful for you.
Yeah.
Than this. Yeah. So people that I work with regularly on night shift. Joe, I know you did the same thing, right? Or do? A lot of the photographers at CARE end up having these just because reporters insist on it. Right? Cool. Thank you. Questions? You can bring the lights back up.
Boyd, I've got a silly question.
Yeah.
You're working with an individual, you're doing an interview, and they won't stop talking, and you can't control them. What do you do?
The person that I'm interviewing?
Yeah, they wander off topic, and they're all over the map.
You put up with it for a while, or leave. I mean, I leave a lot. I really do. I mean, I just leave the room. And Jeff will stay there, and then generally I don't. No, seriously, it's a great reporter technique. Is just go. And if you're working with a good photographer, when you come back, they say, "We're all done." I did a story with Jonathan a few years ago. It was on a business that was failing, and the owner of the business wouldn't stop talking. Right, same thing you're talking about. He was entertaining me. He wanted to show me around. The point was the business was failing, and the last thing we needed was him scurrying around. So I went to the car to get a battery, and when I came back 10 minutes later, Jonathan had a big smile on his face, and he said, "We're done." And then we got out of the car, and he said he fell asleep. So we had a shot. When I went and looked at the tape, there's a shot of him sitting in the chair, and all of a sudden his eyes started drooping. So Jonathan got back here and got a sequence of shots of him snoring. And so we have this whole thing about, can you have a better representation of how slow business has become? And he's got a shot of his wife who's sitting on the other side of the room reading a magazine. And she goes, we went home.
Boy, how about the other side of the coin, people that won't talk?
Pardon me?
People that are having the hardest time getting on camera. On the flip side of the question, what do you do besides? I know you work hard to develop that relationship.
I'm sorry, people who
are having the hardest time going on camera.
Oh, and you can't convince them to go on camera?
Or just one word answer.
Just one. Let's not disconnect that just yet, because I want to do that two-person
Yeah,
real quick. I just remembered something else I want to talk about. If they're really, really important to you, you work on it hard, But I'm really quick to walk away from somebody who doesn't want to be on camera. I'm kind of like Scott mentioned this morning, that if that guy didn't want to talk to him, there were 900 other million doors he could knock on. And I kind of subscribe to that school of thought too. I don't waste a lot of time on people who don't want to be on television. I'd rather spend that time looking for somebody who's going to be cooperative. But if it's somebody who's really important to me, you know, it's the mother of that serviceman, and I think she's got a good story to tell. I just try to approach that as a human being and not as a reporter. Just don't be a dad. I'm a dad too. But I've never twisted anyone's arm off when I'm trying to get an interview. One other thing I wanted to talk about, because this is my big thing now on when we're doing two-person interviews, 2 or 3 group interviews. We can do it right here. So Teresa and Natalie, congratulations. You're never going to sit in the front row. All right. So we're doing a 2-person interview, and this is like the classic couch interview with parents, or maybe there's 3 or 4 firefighters. And so this is often what you see in a television interview. So a person, it'll be set up kind of like this. I'd be in the chair across the couch from you. All right, so I'm going to ask Teresa a question, and then Jeff, you're going to talk, and so I'm going to go and tight on Teresa, and then I'll let you talk, and then Natalie, you interrupt her. Okay, so Teresa, how have you enjoyed the seminar?
Very well, learned a lot. But you forgot to mention that one thing that we did earlier when we were eating lunch.
So you got this one. Jeff is like, oh God, which one do I go on? And then he ends up staying wide the entire time. And it's flat, right? So let's try this. All right. And so how's the lighting, Jeff? Is it okay? Yeah, actually, it's kind of nice. Yeah. All right. Now let's try this. All right. Now, how's the seminar going, Teresa?
Everything's going really well, except for earlier when that happened.
Okay, for that part, yeah, that part was bad.
Okay. I can't see the screen because it's behind me, but is this working okay? Yeah. All right. I really love these profile interviews, and I can move over here and we can change the dynamic of the shot just a little bit. Why do you like them, Jeff, as a photographer?
They look so much better. I mean, you can see both people. I mean, that, you know, you can see them both, and you're not, you know, because the reporter, I hate it when a reporter says, oh, they picked the bite, and you're moving the camera, and it's like, I gotta cover it because this, you know, this way, you really don't have to touch anything. You just let them talk.
And if we're interviewing Natalie, then we have the benefit of your reaction to what Natalie's saying. We can be in a really nice tight shot of Natalie, and you look startled, you're in the shot, even if you're slightly out of focus in the background. So you're the parents of a child who's had some, you know, a heart condition or something, and you start to tear up. You're in the background. You're talking. We have all of that, and if we're like this, we're missing your reaction to Natalie's soundbite. So. And the great thing is you can keep adding people, so it's family of 4. Well, you would just slide in here. Here, let's do that. So, and you might pull your chair out just a little bit and bring you around the corner just a little bit. And then we're going to, you know, there we go. And that's nice too, isn't it? Okay, yeah.
So, boy, how do you accomplish your dance there?
Oh, do you mean how we're going to mix up the shots? Oh, that's easy, right, Jeff? Yep. Let's dance a little bit. All right, so, Felix, give me your observations on the seminar.
I think it's been very excellent. Great tips.
Could you talk again some more?
Light machine.
No, we're still going to do it. Jeff's he'll have some wide shots. I guess he's kind of doing it right now. He's still going to move around. We're still going to be able to accomplish some of the same things, but you're going to have some really nice angles. And this is a tough one for some photographers. I've had to convince so a few photographers that this is a more pleasing way to do these interviews. And I'm convinced there are some people who just look at the world differently too. Because I've got one guy that I work with who just doesn't buy into this at all. And you don't have to. I mean, if you don't like this, that's cool. But yeah, here, Jeff's going to be down here like this. But the one place he's probably not going to be is right in front of you. Right? Yeah. Okay. So I think we can flip the camera off and go back to the videotape. Let's do this lighting thing. We have this here. Let's go lighting.